After my uncle found out I had a crush on him, he sent me out of the country. However, 5 years later, he invited me back for his wedding anniversary. Part 1. I never thought that after 5 years abroad, I would have the chance to come back. After all, Orion had said that in this lifetime, I'd better never appear in front of him again. But it was also he who personally bought me a ticket back home, inviting me to attend his and Melissa's wedding anniversary celebration. Uma had been sleeping peacefully on the plane, but once we got off, she started crying. "Mommy, my feet hurt," she whimpered softly. Hearing Uma's quiet sobs, I quickly picked her up and walked towards the exit. At the arrival gate, I turned on my phone, ready to call a cab. Just then, my phone rang. Seeing the familiar number on the screen, I fell silent, unsure whether to answer or not. In the end, I didn't pick up, but a second call came through almost immediately. I sighed and finally answered. Orion's voice quickly came through. "Are you out of the airport? I sent an assistant to pick you up," Orion said in a businesslike manner, as if we were strangers. I laughed bitterly. "I can get a cab myself." Orion probably didn't expect me to say that. After all, back then, I had been well taken care of by him. During my years by his side, all my needs were met. I never had to worry about transportation. After a moment of silence, Orion spoke casually. "Let the assistant come anyway. I bought a gift for Melissa on your behalf. It's in the trunk. You can bring it directly when you come for dinner." Orion was still so thoughtful, considering even the gift situation perfectly. Of course, when he spent millions on the venue and commissioned a limited edition diamond to create a unique wedding ring for Melissa, it was clear how much he loved her. "All right," I responded softly. Orion didn't say anything more, but he didn't hang up either. After a while, Orion finally spoke. "Yara, after 5 years abroad, I hope you've really reflected on things. If you do anything to Melissa, I won't let you off easy." Hearing this, I was stunned. Before I could respond, Orion had already hung up. Actually, Orion could rest assured, I wouldn't do anything to them. I just wanted to take good care of Uma and find a job. When I was young, my parents died in a cruise ship accident and never returned. Orion naturally took over my care. My relationship with him had always been harmonious. Until I became an adult, I realized I didn't just see Orion as an uncle. I liked him, but I also knew very clearly that there was no future between Orion and me, so I wrote all my feelings in my diary. If Orion hadn't seen my diary, I probably could have pretended that my feelings for him were just those of a niece for her uncle. But Orion saw it. He tore up my diary and asked me how I could have such disgusting thoughts. "Don't you know I'm your uncle? Even without a blood relation, we can only be family." The usually gentlemanly and refined Orion was no longer gentle, shouting at me with disgust in his eyes. At that time, I wanted to explain, but couldn't explain anything. In the end, he resigned from the job I had lined up and under the guise of studying abroad, sent me to a remote university overseas. To prevent me from contacting the outside world, Orion even hired bodyguards to watch me. At first, I didn't understand why Orion treated me this way. Until the first month after I went abroad, news of Orion's marriage went viral. Only then did I realize that all these years, he had always had someone in his heart. I watched Orion's wedding video over and over again. In the video, when looking at Melissa, Orion's gaze was gentle and loving. He had never looked at me that way. From that moment on, I knew that Orion keeping me by his side for so many years was just out of sympathy and responsibility. His only love was Melissa. I was stunned when the assistant drove me to my destination. This hotel was where Orion and Melissa got married. 5 years of marriage, he held a wedding anniversary celebration every year and personally selected gifts for Melissa. In previous years, he didn't allow me to enter their world. Inviting me back this year was probably just to let me witness their happiness. I numbly got out of the car and saw Melissa smiling as she walked towards me. Unlike my haggard appearance and simple clothes, Melissa wore expensive jewelry and perfume, looking well cared for by